everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Kathy, and today I'm kind of excited to share this card because I had one of those I wonder if this would work moments, and I was quite pleased that it did work out. So today I'll be using the Sunflower Daisy stamp set from Altenew, and I'll also be using my Arteza Real Brush markers. Each of the colors that I use will pop up not only on the screen, but I'll have them listed down in the description below. And I will also have everything listed over on my blog. And on a side note here, if you have yet to try the Arteza Real Brush markers, I have a coupon code for you. And there it is right there. The coupon code is good for your entire purchase. It does not have to be just the Real Brush pens. So back to the card. I started out with a piece of Canson watercolor cardstock that measures 3.5 by 8, and the moment that I had was once upon a time, a long time ago, in the early days of stamping, there was a creator out there by the name of Dee Grunig, and she had a very particular style of stamps that she designed, and they were always very solid images. And somehow she managed to get these beautiful color blends on these solid images. And she used these really thick Marvy markers and applied the marker directly to the rubber of the stamp. And I thought about that, and I was wondering, I wonder if I could use my Arteza Real Brush pens, because it is a water-based ink, and I thought I would give it a try. So I did, and it worked. So to do this, for this particular card, on the large flower, I only used the second, third, and fourth layers. And for the smaller flower, I only used the second layer. I applied the Arteza Real Brush pen directly to the stamp, and then I spritzed it with a little bit of water. And I used the mini mister from Ranger. It's a really fine mist. You'll need to spray it about 2 times, maybe 3 if you miss, which I missed quite a few times when I was trying to spray it. My computer got a nice bath and my desk got a bath, but anyway, once I sprayed the stamp, I would just go direct to the watercolor cardstock. The trick to this, however, is when you place the stamp on the watercolor cardstock, you do want to make sure that you give really good pressure, and you do want to leave the stamp in place for just a bit. That'll allow the cardstock to actually absorb that pigment. Now, before going directly onto the third layer of the large flower, I did move on to the smaller flowers just to allow some drying time in between the layers, because I still wanted to have the definition between the stamp layers with the different colors. And I knew that if I stamped too early, that the colors would just bleed together and I would lose that definition. After I was done with the flowers and the leaves, I decided just to use ink pads for the flower centers. And the reason I did that was because I didn't want the flower centers to bleed out into the flower petals. I did end up adding a few more yellow flowers because I felt that I had just too much open space. Then I decided to go ahead and add some splatters. So I used the Arctic Blue and the Teal Real Brush pens and applied them to an acrylic block. Used a wet paintbrush and just splattered the color all over. Then I thought, let's bring in a little bit of Gold Perfect Pearls. So added that to my craft mat, spritzed it with water, and splattered all of that. After I was done with that, I thought that I didn't get a very good impression on a couple of the yellow flowers. Some of them were just a little bit too light. So I took a risk and thought maybe I could just stamp over it again with more ink, because you can layer the Arteza Real Brush pens to get more vibrant colors. And with this particular stamp set, since it is so forgiving and so easy to line up, I had no problem stamping those yellow flowers again to get them a little bit more vibrant. Once I was done with that, I wanted to add more earthy tones, so I grabbed my vintage photo ink pad and just a regular old yellow sponge. They're round sponges and I cut them into wedges. You can get 3 of them for $3 at Michael's. They last a really long time, and it's an easy way to add ink around the edge of your cardstock. So after I had added the ink around the edge of the watercolor cardstock, I wanted to pull more of that vintage photo into where the flowers were. So I applied the vintage photo ink directly to my craft mat, sprayed it with a little bit of water, and then used a wet paintbrush just to get more splatters. To finish up the card, I adhered the watercolor cardstock to a piece of green cardstock that was cut just slightly larger than the 8 by 3.5, and then adhered that to the front of a white note card. The size of the note card is 8.5 by 4. And to finish up the card, I stamped a sentiment from Birch Press Designs that reads, "Sending a happy," and embossed that with gold embossing powder on a piece of teal cardstock. I ran that through my die cut machine with a fishtail banner from my favorite, Blueprints 27 from My Favorite Things. And I also die cut the word hello 3 times from teal cardstock. The hello die is also from Birch Press Designs. I did cut it 3 times from the same color because I did not want to have a white shadow behind it. I trimmed a little bit off of the sentiment strip and added some foam tape to the back of that and adhered it in place. I used liquid glue to adhere the hello die cut, and the final step was to go over the hello die cut with a Spectrum Noir sparkle pen in the color Sea Breeze just to add a little bit of shimmer to the greeting. That finishes up my card for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've not yet subscribed, I'd love it if you would. And don't forget to ring the bell so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And as a reminder, here's that coupon code one more time for you. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.